Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to an episode of Business Insider. I'm Mohamed Azzam. Tonight, we'll be talking about the economics of artificial intelligence, the size of the economics of artificial intelligence, the most important sectors working in that field, the dangers, how will the job market look after the expansion of AI, and the responsible use of artificial intelligence. This is our main topic for tonight, but as usual, we begin our episode with a look at the stories making the headlines for this past week. And we begin from St. Petersburg, where President Sisi arrived in St. Petersburg, Russia, to participate in the second Africa-Russia summit and held summit talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Spokesman for the presidency, Councillor Ahmed Fahmy, said the second Russia-Africa summit was launched in 2019 after the Egyptian chairmanship of the African Union. The first Russia-Africa summit was held in Sochi, Russia, co-hosted by Putin and Sisi to reinforce and deepen the outstanding and historical relations between the African continent and Russia. It also aimed at enhancing consultations between the two sides on way to address common challenges. The spokesman noted that this year's edition will include 2 plenary sessions and will issue a final communiqué. A number of economic, trade and cultural activities will be held on the sidelines of the summit, primarily the Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum. President Sisi held talks earlier today with Russian President Putin to explore ways to further advance bilateral relations between Cairo and Moscow on all domains. The second summit for Africa-Russia is held on Thursday with the participation of Egypt and 49 countries representing nearly 45 heads of state and deputies, as well as more than 100 ministers. The forum is considered a platform for direct dialogue among companies, governments and representatives of different sectors in Russia and Africa. Participants will probe ways of boosting bilateral relations, binding them, and also address the challenges of the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine dispute. The forum's action program includes all vistas of cooperation between Russia and Africa. And Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, Hani Swelem, on Tuesday said the climate change poses a massive challenge at the international level and directly affects the water sector, pressing that Egypt has placed water at the heart of the global climate action. At a meeting with French ambassador to Egypt, Marc Barty, the minister said that Egypt had succeeded in drawing global attention to the water sector through utilizing international platforms to address water as a key climate change adaptation and resilience tool. Egypt has highlighted the water issues during the 5th Cairo Water Week, the UN 2023 Water Conference in March, along, of course, with the UN Climate Change Conference COP27 that was hosted by Egypt in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. Swelem shed light on national projects and measures adopted to boost climate resilience, like initiatives to protect shores and evade flood hazards. Swelem and Barty reviewed prospective cooperation in the domains of rehabilitation of irrigation canals via applying eco-friendly techniques, rehabilitation of water facilities, setting up and upgrading water desalination stations, as well as establishing projects on protecting shores. Egypt is due to hold the 6th edition of the Cairo Water Week 2023 between October 29th and November 2nd under the theme Action on Water Adaptation for Sustainability. And the Egyptian government has released $131 billion worth of goods, of imported goods from ports and customs outlets in 21 months to June. The announcement was made by Minister of Finance Mohamed Azzam. Azzam also highlighted that some goods valued at $3.5 billion have not been granted customs clearance permits yet. The number of registration requests in the Advanced Cargo Information System has exceeded 1.2 million since its introduction in October of 2021, he pointed out, noting that customs release operations are conducted with priority given to basic and food commodities, medicines, petroleum products and fuel in a way that contributes to the security of the state's strategic stockpile of commodities for citizens in the local markets. Time now for a short break. When we come back, we will introduce you to our distinguished guest with us here in the studio, who will be discussing with us tonight's topic, the economics of artificial intelligence. We'll also be watching a report on the topic. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us, dear viewers. With us down here in the studio is Dr Mohamed Azzam, and he's a member of the International Association for the Management of Technology. A very good evening to you, Dr Azzam. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, and always a pleasure being with you.
Thank you. The pleasure is definitely ours. Allow us, Dr Azzam, and dear viewers, to watch a report on tonight's topic, the economics of artificial intelligence, prepared by Rasha Abdul Hamid and presented by Abir Hussein.
Artificial intelligence and specifically data-driven methods such as machine learning are a promising radical transformation of the economic and social systems worldwide. It helps people make better predictions and decisions. By 2030, artificial intelligence is forecast to add $15 trillion to the global economy. Currently, artificial intelligence is one of the top priorities of policy agendas for most of the countries at both national and international levels. Many national government initiatives focus on using artificial intelligence applications for development and economic growth. In addition, artificial intelligence is one of the top priorities of the agendas of the international and regional organizations such as Group of 7, Group of 20, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Culture Organization, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the World Intellectual Property Organization, the European Union, the League of Arab States, the African Union, and others. This international dialogue aims at building a common understanding of emerging artificial intelligence technologies. The United Nations also has numerous ongoing initiatives related to artificial intelligence with the objective of identifying principles and policy priorities for it, aiming to accelerate progress towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The world is witnessing a revolution in information and communications technology. The new Egypt will possess a competitive, balanced and diversified economy dependent on innovation and knowledge and based on justice, social integrity and participation. It will be characterized by a balanced and diversified ecological collaboration system, investing in the ingenuity of place and humans to achieve sustainable development and to improve Egyptians' life quality. ICT 2030 strategy contributes to achieving the objectives of Egypt's Vision 2030 through building digital Egypt. These objectives entail developing the ICT infrastructure, fostering digital inclusion, achieving the transition to a knowledge-based economy, building capacities and encouraging innovation, fighting corruption, ensuring cybersecurity, and promoting Egypt's position at the regional and international levels. ICT industry is known to be the fastest growing sector in Egypt. The sector hit new highs, recording a growth rate of about 16.3%, outpacing of the state's economic sectors during the fiscal year 2021-2022. The sector has retained its leading position as the highest growing sector over its peers for the fourth consecutive fiscal year, showing strong and resilient performance despite the global economic downturn and uncertainty.
Welcome back. We are with Dr. Mohamed Azzam, the member of the International Association for the Management of Technology. Dr. Azzam, the economics of artificial intelligence, how big is that market internationally, globally, and how big is it here in Egypt and in our region?
Thank you for this important question, because artificial intelligence actually is going to disrupt everything around us. It's going to disrupt the way we live, the way you conduct business, and the way we do everything. Actually, it's an inflection point in the history of mankind. We haven't witnessed such inflection points maybe since the first industrial revolution, or the magnitude of the effect like we are seeing now today regarding the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is expected to add like 15 trillion US dollars to the global economy, as you mentioned in your report. Actually, this is almost 15% of the global economy. So it shows the impact of artificial intelligence on the economic life and on the economic progression, and that's why artificial intelligence is becoming on the top of the agenda on the national and international level, because it affects actually every single economic sector, that including trade sector, manufacturing sector, healthcare sector, e-commerce sector, agriculture and water management sector, the airspace and defense sector. So it's included, it's embedded in every sector today.
Yes.
And the evolution of such technology actually is affecting the progression of such sectors exponentially, because it's like a snowball effect. So we are witnessing a new world order based on the artificial intelligence, and that's why this issue has been also becoming a hot topic across the different international conferences, and even has been discussed a couple of days ago in the Security Council in the UN on how they are seeing the importance of artificial intelligence, and also the effect of artificial intelligence on the global peace and security, which is becoming a very important aspect that everyone, they need to look at it and find solutions for such breaking through technologies and its unprecedented scale of effect on everything that we are seeing today.
Indeed. I mean, beautifully laid out, Dr. Azzam. You mentioned some key words, important words, sometimes striking, when you said that this is the biggest influencer in world economics that the world has ever seen. 15% of the global economy. It's important to peace, security, food, everything. There must be dangers that are accompanied with that. Could you talk to us about some of these potential dangers and the best means to prepare for those dangers?
This is very important, because each technology has a bright side as well as has a side that we need to consider and think about it in a very careful way. Of course, because of the pace of the development and the scale of disruption that we are facing due to the artificial intelligence, we need to consider, of course, so many different aspects. There was a recent report by Forbes last June, actually almost less than a month ago, stating some of the major aspects that we need to consider and we need to work on it for having a better and safe artificial intelligence utilization. This includes, of course, the transparency, the security, how to deal with the discrimination, because artificial intelligence could be used for discrimination and bias. We need to have a look on how artificial intelligence could lead to more economic divide between North and South. How could affect the human jobs and could represent a replacement or displacement for jobs for human. This also includes the new arm race based on artificial intelligence, and we've seen this during actually the conflict in East Europe between Russia and Ukraine. Also the utilization of artificial intelligence and fraud and misinformation, and this becoming a phenomenon leading to what's called infodemic. Actually, it's another pandemic, but in the format of information and knowledge. It also consider how we can make this the ethical utilization of artificial intelligence is becoming on the top of the agenda of many nations, including Egypt. Actually, Egypt issued a report for ethical use or a framework for ethical use of artificial intelligence, and this considered one of the few countries that did that, and we have now a holistic framework that should govern the utilization and development of artificial intelligence towards the betterment of mankind and for the betterment of the economy and, of course, the betterment of society. And the framework or the ethical utilization of artificial framework also include that artificial intelligence should not be used for replacing jobs. Actually, unless the jobs are becoming very risky. If you are working in a factory that in a very hazard environment, of course, artificial intelligence could do the job on the behalf of humans, but in rare cases, which represent a high risk for human lives. So
is that an ethical framework, or is that an economic vision, not allowing AI to throw away so many jobs potentially? Is that from the ethical point of view or from the even economic and social point of view?
Actually, from both sides, because we need to have a framework that governs the development of artificial intelligence. So if we have this framework, so we can have laws and regulation governing the development of artificial intelligence for not replacing human jobs. And leaving a space for human to do their jobs. Actually, artificial intelligence has been used in industry for a very long time, maybe for the last 6 years in industry, like the automotive industry. The robotics was there since the 1960s, actually, because this is boosting the productivity and efficiency of such a very important economic sector and domain. So part of this...
Are we at risk of losing a lot of jobs and not having those jobs replaced, or are we in fact potentially before adding jobs to the international, to the global economy due to the development of AI?
Unfortunately, 45% of jobs that we knew today will not be there 45, almost maybe more. Actually, it could be 49% of the jobs that we knew today.
Almost
half of the jobs won't be there in 2035, because actually
but new ones will be there. Newer jobs will be there.
This happens.
So what will the net outcome be? I always like to pose this question. Will it be positive or negative as far as number of jobs in your... I mean, I'm sure nobody knows for sure this answer, but what do you think?
From the history of technology, actually, technology alters job. Actually, everything can be automated, will be automated. This is a fact. So if we automate a job,
then it will be minus?
Actually, it will be positive. Will be positive, but in a different format, actually, because it's
positive for the global, positive for growth, positive for development, positive for numbers. But will it be a net positive when it comes to the number of people working?
Yes.
Also?
Yes, as well.
Good to hear.
But actually, people need to know different skills. You cannot have the same skills for
Yes.
tomorrow's jobs. That's why we need to be agile as humans. We need to be agile and fast to learn, because the new jobs will require and mandate new skills. So the most important skill now is to know how to learn. Definitely, because actually you need a new skill every 3 months with this size of development, with this exponential growth of technology and its utilization all over the world. Of course, I don't need to spend years to have a new skill. Actually, I need to have weeks or maybe days to have the new skills.
I like the way you posed it. The most important skill is the readiness and willingness and ability to learn.
This definitely, actually, and this the education system will follow this path eventually.
How are we faring here in Egypt, in your view, in AI? I mean,
in AI, we have a national strategy. The national strategy is actually composed of 3 main pillars. One of them is, of course, capacity building to give training and knowledge transfer for labor will work in the AI domain. The second one is the application of AI. We have a lot of applications in AI, and the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology have now or has now a specific center for applied research. Mainly, AI is a great component within this new research center. And of course, the application is unlimited. During the report, you mentioned the water issues and the climate change issues. And of course, AI could play a great role in this domain by having a better optimization of water resource, a better optimization of soil, the better optimization of the ecosystem within the agriculture system, for example. Having AI into the bioengineering domain, and this will lead to have better resilient crops and produce that could cater this unprecedented climate change as well. Having crops and produce consuming less water, having a better impact on the ecosystem at large. So everything is there. Utilization of AI within government services or public services actually worldwide will save like 44 billion US dollars a year. This money could be re-injected in having better services, especially in education and health. This is another example of the economics of AI and the positive side of AI on the development of the economy and society.
Right. I want to go to the potentially negative side. And you mentioned earlier the word discrimination and the word bias. So under the pretext of artificial intelligence, what is it that you as a scientist in this field fear when it comes to discrimination or bias? Can you explain further? Because first thing that comes to mind is that under the pretext or under, the pretext of artificial intelligence, I could do whatever I want and say that, this is better than that because I have the numbers and I have used AI and I can discriminate as much as I want and be biased to and against whoever I want. So could you explain that point further?
Definitely. Imagine that you have a lethal weapon that can only target dark-skinned people or women. Or having a credit system that is favoring people with blue eyes, for example, or having...
because we made the research that said that people with blue eyes usually repay their credits faster or in a more regular way than people with black eyes, for instance. I mean, we could invent anything and under the pretext, play with it.
You can play this. You can manipulate the system to target a specific race or sex or gender. So this is this is actually becoming one of the main pillars of the ethical utilization of artificial intelligence. Imagine that you have a cure that is not suitable for children with black hair, for example, whatever. So you can manipulate the system.
And it's scary.
It's scary. That's why we need to have a very flexible, resilient framework that is governing and controlling the development and having a more, I would say, serious penalties on people utilizing or manipulating the system for unethical use.
You know, you mentioned, Dr. Azzam, earlier that, you know, corruption also or fraud utilizing AI. Just something that popped to my head is that, you know, if I'm such an advanced country in AI, I could use this to hurt other countries economically, you know, via any potential numbers concerning trade, concerning the quality of their products, concerning, you know, exports and imports. I can do whatever I want, again, under the pretext of AI, if I'm the one in control.
Definitely, and actually we've seen this during the crisis in Europe that started 2022. And we've seen this during the US elections back in 2016 and 2020. And we've seen the use of misinformation during COVID outbreak. And actually, that's why the Secretary General of the United Nations said that we are fighting two diseases, actually, or two pandemics. One is
COVID.
the COVID, the other one is
misuse of AI.
Information. And the misinformation and the spread of misinformation and false news is mainly generated by artificial intelligence. And this is one of the great concerns that affecting every country on this planet, because every country is subject to misinformation, including the advanced economies and developing economies as well. So no one is far from being manipulated by false information, and this is one of the things that everyone is fighting now, even on the international level.
But I guess there is no one power that is controlling or developing AI all alone, right? I mean, there is a race, right, between superpowers around the world, and I think that developing nations like ourselves are trying to join. Right.
Definitely, because the size of investment made by the superpowers like the United States and China, you are talking here about 2 trillion. China, for example, has invested $2 trillion US over the last decade, and they are investing in startups working in artificial intelligence within the United States. That's why the former President Donald Trump posed some sanction on China regarding the high tech, that is including, of course, artificial intelligence and semiconductor technologies. So this is actually one of the fears by AI is you are having a sort of concentration of economic power within few countries, even more severe than now. That's why it's very important for developing a country like
to quickly catch the train.
Actually, and we have many great Egyptian startups working in the domain of AI. One of the Egyptian startups working in AI domain is considered as one of the top 20 companies worldwide working in this domain. So, because it's based on brains.
I'll leave it at this optimistic note. Unfortunately, our time is up. I've really learned from you, sir, and enjoyed listening to you. Dr. Mohamed Azzam, the member of the International Association for the Management of Technology. Hope to see you again.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure being with you in this
this
enriched episode.
Thank you. And thank you, dear viewers, for watching us. That's all for now. Goodbye.